The sun dips low, painting the savanna in hues of fire and blood. This is the land of our ancestors, the land of whispers and legends. In the heart of this land lies the village of Imani, a place where life ebbs and flows with the rhythm of the great Zambezi River. Here live two friends, Tembo, the skilled hunter, known for his strength and accuracy, and Jabari, the cunning craftsman, admired for his intricate wood carvings and sharp intellect. They were as close as brothers, sharing every meal, every story, every hardship under the African sky. Tembo provided meat for the village, a responsibility he carried with pride. His spear always found its mark, be it a swift gazelle or a lumbering wildebeest. Jabari, with his nimble hands, crafted tools and utensils, adorning them with symbols of their tribe's history and beliefs. He was the village's memory keeper, each carving a testament to their heritage. They were inseparable, their laughter echoing through the village, a constant reminder of their bond. Little did they know, a shadow was about to fall upon their friendship. A drought had gripped the land. The Zambezi River dwindled to a mere trickle, and the animals grew scarce. Hunger gnawed at the bellies of the villagers. Desperation filled the air, thicker than the dust storms that swept across the plains. Tembo, burdened by the weight of his responsibility, vowed to venture deep into the forbidden forest, a place whispered to be guarded by ancient spirits, in search of game. He knew the risks, but the survival of his people depended on it. Before embarking on his perilous journey, Tembo confided in Jabari. He shared his fears, his hopes, and the secret trails he planned to follow. He entrusted Jabari with the well-being of his family and the safety of the village in his absence. "Brother," Tembo said, his voice heavy with concern, "I place my life and the lives of our people in your hands. Watch over them until I return." Jabari, with a solemn nod, promised to honor Tembo's trust. A promise that would soon be broken. The forbidden forest was a realm of shadows and whispers. Ancient trees clawed at the sky, their branches intertwined, blocking out the sun. Strange sounds echoed through the undergrowth, the rustling of unseen creatures, the haunting calls of nocturnal birds. Tembo pressed on, his spear held high, his senses alert. He knew he was trespassing on sacred ground, but the hunger in his village fueled his resolve. He had to succeed, no matter the cost. While Tembo faced the dangers of the forest, Jabari was weaving a web of deceit in the village. He began to spread rumors, whispering doubts about Tembo's return. He suggested that Tembo had abandoned them, lured by the promise of greener pastures. He subtly undermined Tembo's reputation, portraying him as reckless and selfish. His words, like venom, slowly poisoned the minds of the villagers. The villagers, already weakened by hunger and fear, were easily swayed by Jabari's insidious whispers. They began to lose faith in Tembo, their hope replaced by resentment and suspicion. The unity that had once defined their village crumbled, replaced by division and mistrust. Jabari, watching his plan unfold, felt a surge of power. He was now the leader, the one they turned to for guidance. A dangerous position for a man with a treacherous heart. Jabari, fueled by his growing influence, seized the opportunity to solidify his position. He claimed that Tembo had taught him the secrets of hunting and declared himself the new protector of the village. He took Tembo's spear, the symbol of his strength and skill, and paraded it through the village, basking in the admiration of the people. He was now wearing Tembo's mantle, a stolen honor built on a foundation of lies. Deep within the forbidden forest, Tembo finally found his prize, a magnificent antelope, its coat shimmering in the dappled sunlight. He gave thanks to the spirits of the forest for their generosity and swiftly brought down the animal with a single, well-aimed throw of his spear. Relief washed over him. He could now return to his village, a hero bringing salvation to his starving people. He began the long trek back, his heart filled with anticipation. The journey back was arduous. The weight of the antelope bore down on Tembo's shoulders, and the treacherous terrain tested his endurance. But he persevered, driven by the thought of his family and the gratitude of his village. He imagined their cheers, their smiles, the feasting that would follow. He was returning a victor, a true leader who had risked his life for his people. Or so he believed. As Tembo approached the village, he noticed something was amiss. The usual sounds of laughter and activity were absent. The village was eerily quiet, shrouded in an unsettling stillness. A sense of unease crept into his heart. He quickened his pace, his senses on high alert. What had happened in his absence? Why was the village so silent? He emerged from the trees to a shocking sight. Jabari stood in the center of the village, surrounded by the villagers, his hand resting on Tembo's spear. He was addressing the crowd, his voice filled with authority. Tembo couldn't make out the words, but he could feel the animosity in the air. The villagers were looking at him with suspicion and resentment. What had Jabari told them? Jabari spotted Tembo and pointed at him accusingly. "Look," he cried, his voice dripping with false indignation. "The one who abandoned us. He returns now, after we have suffered. He seeks to steal the glory that I have earned." The villagers, their minds already poisoned by Jabari's lies, turned on Tembo. They shouted insults, accusing him of cowardice and betrayal. Tembo stood there, stunned and heartbroken. He dropped the antelope, the salvation he had risked his life for, onto the ground. The weight of betrayal crushed him more than any physical burden. He looked at Jabari, his eyes filled with disbelief and pain. How could his brother, his closest friend, do this to him? How could he twist the truth so easily? Jabari, sensing Tembo's vulnerability, pressed his advantage. "Seize him," he commanded. "He is a threat to our village, a liar and a deceiver." The villagers, blinded by their misplaced trust in Jabari, obeyed. They rushed towards Tembo, their faces contorted with anger. The hunter, the hero, was now a prisoner in his own village. Tembo offered no resistance. He was too heartbroken to fight. He allowed the villagers to tie him up, his spirit broken. The betrayal of his friend, the rejection of his people, was more painful than any physical injury. He had risked his life for them, and this was how they repaid him. He had placed his trust in Jabari, and that trust had been shattered into a million pieces. Jabari, reveling in his victory, declared that Tembo was to be banished from the village. He was to be cast out, left to wander the wilderness alone, a pariah among his own people. Tembo was led away, his head bowed in shame and sorrow. He looked back at his village, his home, one last time, his heart filled with a profound sense of loss. Tembo wandered the savannah, a solitary figure against the vast landscape. He was alone, betrayed, and heartbroken. He had lost everything, his friend, his home, his honor. He had nothing left but his memories and the bitter taste of betrayal. The sun beat down on him, mirroring the burning anger and sorrow in his heart. What would become of him now? As fate would have it, Tembo was found by an old woman from a neighboring tribe. She saw his suffering, his despair, and offered him kindness and compassion. She nursed him back to health, reminding him of the importance of forgiveness and the resilience of the human spirit. She taught him new skills, new ways of living, and helped him to rebuild his life. Tembo never forgot the betrayal, but he learned to forgive. He understood that even the closest of bonds can be broken, that trust is a fragile thing. He found peace in his solitude, in the beauty of the savannah, and in the kindness of strangers. The hunter's betrayal, a tale woven with threads of friendship, envy, and deceit. Did Tembo truly find peace, or did the scar of betrayal forever haunt his soul? What do you believe is the most profound lesson embedded in Tembo's journey? Share your thoughts in the comments below.